On the world news tonight from Babagbagede Imo Television, first the headlines. Tinubu presides over third fake meeting. Supreme Court reserves judgment in Atiku PDP's appeal to file fresh evidence against Tinubu. Student loan scheme takes off January 2024. The president. Yoruba elders crisis worsens as reconciliatory effort flop. On sport, Super Eagles are favourites for AFCON title next year. Drogba replies former Super Eagles defender. And to the second sports story as regards the trouble rocking the goalkeeping stories in the Super Eagles scam, I've got good qualities to replace Uzoho and other senior goalkeepers. I am Morire Rabila Lawa, the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has presided over the third Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja today. The meeting, which started at about 1:06 p.m., had almost all ministers in attendance. Also in attendance was the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemieson, the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbadabiamila, and National Security Advisor, NSA, Novu Ribado. Information also reported that after last week's council meeting, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, had announced that FEC meeting will now hold on Mondays, as against the previous schedule of Wednesdays, and that it will no longer be on a weekly basis except there is a pressing need to do so. Moving on to the next story. The Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the appeal by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, to file fresh evidence and nullify the ruling by the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, which affirmed Bola Tinubu as winner of the last presidential election. A seven-member panel of the court, led by Justice John Okoro, made the announcement after lawyers to parties adopted their briefs of argument and made final submissions. The court also took argument from lawyers to parties on the motion filed by the appellant to supply fresh evidence. Appellant's lawyer, Chris Uche San, urged the court to grant the motion and allow their appeal, grants the prayers sought and disqualified Tinubu. On their path, lawyers to the respondent, Abubakar Mahmoud San, for the Independent National Electoral Commission, Chief Wole Olanipekun San for Tinubu, and Chief Akin Olujimi San for the ruling All Progressive Congress, urged the court to dismiss both the motion and appeal for lacking in merit. The court, which rose briefly, has now reconvened for the hearing of the appeal by the Allied People's Movement. Information also reported Atiku Abubakar appealed against the ruling of the Presidential Election Petition Court at the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And story has it that the APM's case has been dismissed. President Bola Tinubu has assured that the era of industrial actions in the nation's academic environment has come to an end as the administration's student loan schemes commences January next year. President Tinubu gave the assurance today while speaking at the 29th edition of the annual Nigerian Economic Summit anchored by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group at the Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. Tinubu, who spoke extensively on his administration's plans to stabilize the economy with the collaboration of all stakeholders, especially the private sector, also noted the need to immediately initiate a sustainable credit scheme, which he said will aid an effective anti-corruption campaign. He said by January 2024, the new student loan program must commence. To the future of our children and students, we are saying no more strikes. There must be consumer credit scheme will have to come to effect as soon as possible. I thank my team and my colleagues to build this program, develop it now. We cannot talk about anti-corruption when you have to look for cash to buy a car, when there is no mortgage for house or home ownership, he said. If you're just joining, you are watching the world news from Babagbagede Imo Television. Next to come. The crisis rocking the different organs of Yoruba elders has worsened since the emergence of President Tinubu, information revealed. Concerned stakeholders are thought that the emergence of President Tinubu, a Yoruba man, would usher a respite to the rivalry and division that have characterized the different associations populated mostly by respected senior citizens in Southwest region, but the elders still bleaker. From the Yoruba World Congress, an umbrella body of all Yoruba social culture, self-determination and advocacy groups in Nigeria and diaspora to Afenifere, the Pan-Yoruba Socio-Cultural Organization, and down to the Yoruba Council of Elders. It has been stories of polarization and leadership controversies. The YWC crisis deepened in 2020 when Professor Banji Akintoye was removed by about 70 Pan-Yoruba groups worldwide as the pro-tem leader of the Assembly of all Yoruba groups worldwide. Afenifere has split into about 3 parallel groups ever since it endorsed Peter Obi, the candidate of Labour Party, in the 2023 presidential election. Some other leaders of the group had kicked on the choice of Obi, while there was a Yoruba man, Tinubu, who was also vying for the same position. YCE, also known as Igbimuagba, has its own share of the crisis, as it has been divided after the emergence of a parallel body known as Council of Yoruba Elders by some aggrieved members recently. Dr. Victor Taiwo launched CYE in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Speaking on why CYE broke out of YCE, the newly elected president of the parallel group CYE, Chief Festus Onibide, said their new group was formed because of the docility of CYE and also make the Yoruba voice strong now that the nation is being ruled by a Yoruba president. Onibide stressed the need for the Yoruba race to rise and lend support to the administration of President Tinubu, noting that a docile group would not achieve this dream. He said the parallel group was formed to ensure that Tinubu's government doesn't run down. Femi Falana, a human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, has called on Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo to review a plan for the payment of 500 million naira in fines imposed on 4,000 inmates to decongest prisons across the country. Tunji-Ojo last week announced plans by federal government to decongest the correctional centers in the country by ensuring payment of the fines imposed on not less than 44,000 convicts by various courts in the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, amounting to 500 million naira. However, Falana has disagreed, saying the FG should spend that money on rehabilitation of prisons and work with the Attorney General and state governors to pardon the prisoners. The 500 million naira earmarked for payment of fines should be spent on welfare of inmates in the correctional centers, while alternative decongestion policies are considered. The minister may also wish to request the Chief Justice of Nigeria and Chief Judges of all the states and the Federal Capital Territory to visit the correctional centers and exercise their powers under the Criminal Justice Release from Custody Special Provisions Act by ordering the release of all inmates whose detention is either manifestly unlawful or who have been in custody, whether on remand or otherwise, for a period longer than the maximum period of imprisonment which they could have served had they been convicted of offenses in respect of which they are detained. Moving on to the next story, the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Mrs. Olukorede Kesha, on Sunday expressed satisfaction with repairs done on the Third Mainland Bridge, assuring motorists of a smooth ride till the commencement of a comprehensive rehabilitation in January 2024. Kesha gave the assurance on Sunday during an on-the-spot assessment of the repair on the bridge. The controller had on Thursday announced a 24-hour closure of the bridge to allow for repairs of some critical portions. It was also reported that the closure took effect from midnight on Saturday till midnight on Sunday to reduce the hardship being faced by motorists. During the inspection, the controller stopped on various portions between Iyanowolo and Adeniji-Adele, where remedial repairs had been done on 9.7 kilometer stretch of Lagos Island inbound lane. She stated that the construction done was just palliative work to keep the highway in good condition, pending the comprehensive rehabilitation scheduled for January 2024. This repair is going to last beyond January. We don't intend to do any work that will last only 1 or 2 months. Nine persons, including a former local government caretaker chairperson, Dauda Mai Iyali, were killed when terrorists attacked Don Musa, the headquarters of Don Musa local government area in Katsina State on Sunday. The terrorists also abducted several people in an attack that began around 8 p.m. and lasted several hours, residents of the town claimed. The spokesperson of the police in the state, Abubakar Sadiq, however, said that 5 people were killed while 5 others were abducted. He said the police are trying to rescue those abducted. 5 persons were killed. As the information states, the command is making a frantic effort to ensure that unearthed rescue of kidnapping victims and arrest of the perpetrators. The next story. A 23-year-old woman, Unzube Robert Chukwu, has revealed how she took to stealing people's babies and putting them up for sale after the disappearance of her 2 male children. The single mother, who was convicted by an Ebonyi State Magistrate Court for involvement in child theft business in Abakaliki, disclosed that she got a share of 40,000 naira from each of the proceeds of any baby sold. In an interview, she said that the duty was to steal babies while a bus driver identified as often would sell them. She revealed that the last 40,000 naira she got on the illicit sale of a baby was spent on purchase of clothes and body cream. The convict fingered Asito in the disappearance of her 2 children, a situation that paved the way for her to join the illegal child stealing businesses. When I get the babies, I hand them over to Ofunwa for him to sell, and after the transaction, he gives me 40,000 naira from the proceeds. Ozowa, a native of Umunai in Oshiri, Onitsha, local government area of Ebonyi State, explained that luck ran out on her when the last baby she stole from her friends started crying uncontrollably, a situation that drew the attention of neighbors before she was arrested. So the following story. Iraqi authorities have reportedly sentenced a Nigerian woman, Dose Rebecca Oluwaseunfunmi, to death by beating for attempting to take her own life. Oluwaseunfunmi, according to information, went to Iraq in the quest of finding a better life since she couldn't find hope in Nigeria. The immigrant, who was said to be working with Dr. Zainab Attar, dentist Karada, could not bear the situation in Iraq, leading her to attempt suicide. She was, however, rescued and sentenced to death. Unfortunately, she is in a delicate situation right now in Iraq because she attempted to take her own life and was saved, but has been sentenced to be beaten to death next month, November, for attempting suicide, the source said. The source appealed to the President Bola Tinubu led government to intervene and save Nigerian women from being killed in Iraq. The head of Media Nigerian and Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Abdurrahman Balogun Arab, said the commission wasn't aware of the incident. Balogun stated in a text message, "We are not aware. Can a family member or anyone with details send petition to admin@nidcom.gov.ng." On sports. Talented young and promising tender Edith Inyang, the 19-year-old product of Baruch Art Sport Academy, who was invited to the Under-20 national team earlier this year, has hinted that he has good qualities to replace the senior goalkeepers in the Nigerian national football team. And to the next sports story, legendary Cote d'Ivoire forward Didier Drogba says the Super Eagles are among the favorites to win the next year's Africa Cup of Nations, which will be hosted by his country. Drogba said although the Super Eagles are in the same group with the host, they will make it out of the group alongside the host and be in contention for the trophy, with the coach of Nigeria, Josep Peseiro, says is their target going into the tournament. I think that Cote d'Ivoire has every chance of getting out of the group. It's indeed tough with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, who are still the favorite of the competition, he said. We have Guinea and Guinea-Bissau, which will be in the skin dearly. It's going to be a tough field, but if the Ivory Coast, which hosts the organizers, the Ivory Republic, will be there to galvanize the team, he concluded. His statement is coming out on the heels of the Nigerian forward international Ruben Agbola, who said the team isn't among the top teams for the title next year. With our sports story, we've come to the end of today's world news. Before we go, some headlines. Tinubu presides over third FEC meeting. Supreme Court reserves judgment in Atiku PDP's appeal to file fresh evidence against Tinubu, and the case for today has been adjourned. Student loan scheme takes off in January 2024. Yoruba elders crisis worsens as reconciliatory effort flop. Pardon 4,000 inmates rather than spend 500 million naira for their release, Femi Falana. And on sport, Super Eagles are favourites for AFCON title next year, Didier Drogba. For more updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is Babagide Imo Television. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Bagide Imo with Alawiye Alibayo. Please like and follow the page. For advertisement of goods and services, coverage of events and function, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen. Nigeria can be a better country if only will work hand in hand as one family. I am Moriri Rabila Lawal. Good evening.